Welcome to The Approach Shot, the golf show that's more laughs than links, more stories than strokes, more guffaws than golfers. Here are the hosts of The Approach Shot, John Ashton and Neil Michaels.
It is us. Hello. The Approach Shot. I'm John Ashton. He is Neil Michaels.
Well, you see this?
Ooh.
This, my friend, is a soap box.
A literal soapbox.
And I'm planning on getting on it. That's right. And it's also really good smelling soap too. So I don't know if you've noticed this. Are you an ESPN watcher?
I've indulged now and again. Yes.
You have. I enjoy when my wife goes to work having about a half an hour to just watch either First Take or Get Up with Mike Greenberg.
Mm-hmm.
And over the last 2 weeks, every time I turn on the station and watch, the only thing they're talking about is the upcoming football season.
Mm.
We're not talking about like Aaron Rodgers' contract or somebody getting hurt that's going to change the trajectory of a team. It's stuff like, hey, a list came out of the 3 most prolific left-handed quarterbacks with 11 toes that were born in Lansing, Michigan. What do you think? And then he brings 3 or 4 people on like you and me that really get into the whole conversation. I'm thinking, you do know baseball is going on and golf is going on.
Yeah.
And then the other day they had the chutzpah to then talk about the summer NBA league. If you recall, the NBA finals finished like a minute and a half ago.
Right.
And the teams that didn't get to the finals obviously are like prepping for next season, which starts in 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about that. Not a word about the PGA or about Major League Baseball, which, by the way, happens to have a handful of really good races for the division leads and for the wild card. And didn't we just have a couple of really close, well-played golf tournaments with players that are really interesting and we like talking about?
We did indeed.
So explain to me, ESPN, what the hell are you thinking? See, this is why
You
right
brought the
there.
soapbox.
That's why I have it. Because if I have to turn that crap on one more morning with my coffee and my bagel and watch somebody talk about preseason football,
Uh-huh.
we had a big build-up to the Hall of Fame game.
Mm.
Bet you can't tell me who played.
Pittsburgh and somebody.
The Cowboys.
Oh, thank you.
Bet you didn't care at all. The only people who cared are Cowboy fans, which is me, and I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
and Steeler fans, and also didn't.
Mm.
You know why? Because it's preseason.
Because it's August, damn it. That's
Exactly. That should be the rule. If we're considering not playing 18 because it's over 90 degrees,
Mhm.
don't talk football.
That's right. Plus, you got to admit also, the football conversations, no matter what time of year, are pretty depressing for anyone who lives in San Diego. I would like to take just a little respite, however,
Yes.
and there was a great golf match this weekend that many of us did not watch. I, however, did, and I'd be more than happy to tell you about it. It was the
Please.
U.S. Women's Amateur. Jensen Castle, 20 years old. She goes to the University of Kentucky. She's from South Carolina. She played in a 12-person playoff
Wow.
for 2 positions to get into the last positions open for the field of 64 in the U.S. Women's Amateur.
Oh, that's fantastic.
She got it. She was seated 63rd,
Holy cow. Wowza.
and she won.
That's a great story. There you go. I love that. That's fantastic. And on the men's side, there was also a 3-player playoff for the past tournament. I don't have the details in front of me, but I turned it on just as they were playing the playoff. It was a 2-hole playoff, 3 guys, and same thing. I was captivated, even though I didn't have a rooting interest. This is why we watch sports.
Or the 7-man playoff for the bronze medal in the Olympics.
Exactly. But you know who didn't have a playoff? the preseason to the preseason freaking football people. That's who. That's right. I found my way back on the soapbox. You have to pull it out from under me if you want me to stay on.
He's probably going to be carrying the soapbox for a while. We'll get used to it. All right. We have a guest, fantastically great guy, fun to talk to. Name is Joe Greiner.
Yep.
You probably have no idea who he is. We'll tell you.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we know because
of course we do. That we talk to him, so that's how.
Yes. Max Homa's caddy.
Yes, and is a accomplished golfer himself
in his own right.
Though he would defer because that's how you get your bread buttered. But
yeah, and he knows which side his bread is buttered upon. We're going to talk to Joe. We're going to have a great time with him. So you need to hang out with us. We'll be right back. We are the Approach Shot.
This soap smells so good. When I was a kid, I used to hear my parents and other relatives complain all the time about their pain. I couldn't understand why it was always a topic of conversation. But now that I'm getting older myself, I understand. Hey, it's Neil, and especially, man, after I play a round of golf, I'm stiff, and both my knee and my right heel hurt. That's why I decided to try Relief Factor. I was skeptical anything could help me, but I'm a believer now. It's not like I feel miraculously better. The pain is just not there, so I almost forget what a difference Relief Factor has made in my life. Relief Factor is 100% drug-free. It has 4 key ingredients that support a different metabolic pathway to help your body heal naturally from both the pain and the inflammation. Tens of thousands of people just like you are using it today to become mostly or completely pain-free. So join me in this pain-free revolution. Visit relieffactor.com/approach and order the 3-week quick start. It's discounted to just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Order today, and in a few short weeks, you could be pain-free too. Go to relieffactor.com/approach and feel the difference for yourself.
And here we are at the Approach Shot. I am John Ashton. He is Neil Michaels. Joe Greiner is our guest. You're like, Joe Greiner, name sounds familiar.
That's such a great name.
Not grinder, Greiner.
Well, but he's probably ground out a round of golf or two.
Yeah,
I'm sure he has.
How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Good. Welcome.
Thank you.
Joe is currently Max Homa's caddy. I played in a tournament once, and I called a friend of mine that I knew was a better golfer than I was to caddy for me in that tournament so he could help me out. Is that what Max did?
When I was 10 years old, I was a better golfer, but he passed me by.
Well, you're no slouch yourself, are you?
No, I still play golf. I still love it. I'm still pretty competitive, but I think carrying Max's bag is better for my future.
But Joe, honestly, who has the record lowest score at your home course in Valencia?
That's about the only thing I have over Max, and it drives him crazy.
And how often do you mention it?
I don't mention him that often because we both know it and I don't have to bring it up, and I know it bothers him. So I'm only a couple times a year.
Only a couple times. I read somewhere that you're pretty like with him. You're very sort of laid back. You're the calm voice. You always suggest that he's try to relax and stuff. And then on 18 in one of the tournaments, you said, just hit it as hard as you possibly can, which completely threw him off.
Sometimes you just got to tell him to let it go. And I felt like that was a good time to let him go.
How did he do on the hole?
He did pretty well.
There you go. Good. All right.
Do you guys ever fight over advice that you may give him?
No, I wouldn't say we ever fight. That's kind of for after the round to talk about maybe the strategy or a mistake we made or something like that. Usually if something happens like that, we'll talk after the round. Max is pretty logical. Once he's off the golf course, he's pretty calm. So it's always better to probably have that conversation off the golf course. I feel like arguing on the golf course is just the worst thing you can do because there's only 2 people on the golf course that care about how you play, and that's myself and that's Max. So we can't be against each other.
Isn't part of being a caddy not only being somebody who understands golf, but understands his golf, part psychologist, part mother, part a little bit of everything?
Yeah, it's definitely reading your player, knowing his tendencies, his good and bad tendencies, and trying to get the best out of him. For him, it's someone to lean on, someone to vent to, or tell me his frustration, either if it's golf or anything really in life. I mean, I'm, like you said, a psychologist, a friend, and somebody to give him advice on the golf course.
And the interesting thing about Max's career is that he's, if you want to call an up and comer, he's really turned from up and comer into up and came. I mean, he's in the top 40. He's really popular and has sort of an interesting following. Do you have anything to do with that? Are you part of that whole process?
I would say I'm a part of the whole process of the golf game. Now, the following that he has with, the people he relates to on Twitter and social media, I have nothing to do with. Max runs that himself, and he makes all the choices to connect to people. But I do think that Max is a little bit different than some guys because, he's just completely himself on Twitter, and it's a really good thing. It could be a bad thing at times where guys are pretty tough on Twitter. I don't use Twitter, so I don't really know. I just hear things, but Max is just such a easygoing, down-to-earth person that, he just likes to relate to people on Twitter, and he's just a normal guy that's really good at hitting a white golf ball in the hole quicker than most.
Yeah, well, the whole anonymity thing of Twitter and other social media makes it easier to be mean.
It does. There's no doubt. There's a lot of really great things about social media, and then there's times where, people use it as an outlet to, bully or stuff like that, where, that's just a shame. That's a part of it, and hopefully, one day that'll go away.
How heavy is his bag?
Depends how many birdies he makes or how many bogeys.
Very nice. Very nice. Hey, you guys won the Genesis earlier this year. Finishing, we talked to Max about this when we had him on. Finishing in the top 10, if you finish in the top 10 or even the top 20, frequently, you can make a hell of a living in this game. But there's something about winning. And winning in 2019, the Toyota was, huge. And then winning the Genesis this year, what does that do for putting you on that next level?
Yeah, in golf, you can be an amazing golfer and you could not win for 10 years. So to be able to, win a tournament this year, I think it just shows that you're headed in the right direction. And especially because the tournament he won was so important to him. So it was a lot of pressure on himself to win that tournament. He did such a good job, but to win at that course, his favorite golf course against that field, which is one of the strongest fields of the year, the way he did it was pretty amazing. And I think it's just only going to help him in the future win bigger tournaments.
A lot of guys who play golf watch the pros on the weekend and say, well, that doesn't look all that hard. I can make a swing like that. But how hard is the practice routine that you and Max go through prior to any tournament?
Yeah, I think it's basically the most important thing that we do is the process, the practice, all the work we put in before we go to play. That's really the most important thing because it just gives you that extra confidence that you're doing the right things to enable you to play some really good golf. So that's like all the behind the scenes where guys don't know how much time we spent chipping or putting or hitting balls. So yeah, that's a lot of things that people don't see is all the time we put in different parts of his game. And recently in the last year, we've worked a little more on the mental side of things, instead of focusing so much on results, we're just going to stick to the process of what we're working on, and we're going to expect the results to get there eventually, but we're just going to keep working on the things that we think are going to help us be really great at this game.
Fantastic. And pardon me, I said the Toyota Championship in 2019. It was at Wells Fargo. So you had to back out of one of the tournaments earlier this year because you yourself qualified for a terrific tournament. Tell us what that was like.
Yeah, I qualified for the USGA 4-ball.
4-ball, right.
Which is basically a partner deal where me and one of my best friends qualified. It's basically a best ball tournament. It's a 36-hole stroke play, and then it's match play. And I qualified